Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be a video all about legendary changes that are actually coming in patch 2.2. I'm going to do a separate video on epics as this is going to be quite long and I want to go into some detail on it, and I'm going to do a separate video probably on the Forge as well. So lots of stuff come at us really quickly. If you go into the Plarium forums, they've actually got all of this sort of pulled out so you can read it through in your own time. I'll link to that as well in the video. But this is going to be all about the legendary champion changes. Let's get into it. What I'm going to do is, as I'm talking through the changes to the champions, or as we're looking at them, I'm going to go into the raid page now and just kind of show you the difference from what they are right now. So it just says here, with the above in mind, which is talking about the other changes, you can be confident that the role of PvP arena battles in player progression, both classic and tag team arena, will grow. So it's more important than ever to ensure there's a fair playing field. Blah, blah, blah. The goal is to bring some down a notch and some up. The most obvious ones would be Rotus and Sifi. Yeah. But they're subject to many debates within the community. Naturally, we've got no desire to make people unusable or just average, etc. So let's start then. Let's start with Rotus, the Lost Groom. So basically, if it's red, it means it's a nerf. If it's green, it's a buff. So Rotus attacks one enemy now on his A1, 75% chance of placing a 60% decrease defense. Okay. And has got a 25% chance of draining an extra turn. So what I'm going to do, let's bring up the champs whilst I'm reading these through, and then I can just kind of tell you where the tweaks are. So for Rotus, on his A1, they're coming down from a 30% chance of gaining an extra turn to 25% chance. I like the change. This is a kind of RNG thing which can get a bit out of control, so I like that that's come down 5%. That makes sense to me. Second skill then, Vitality Plunder. The damage has been slightly decreased. Okay, so it says, and that's all it says, damage slightly decreased. So this one still hits hard. You still one-shot people with this skill, so that makes sense. I just want to read through this part here because the next skill has changed. It says here, decreases the target's max HP by 20%, then adds that HP to this champion's own, and then the max he can steal is 60k. Can it increase his champion's max HP by more than 60k? Yeah. So it says here then on A3 now, instead of ignore 75% of defense, it's going to ignore 60% of defense. We'll also ignore unkillable and block damage. That's the same. Enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived if this champion has max HP from the Vitality Plunder skill. Grants an extra turn if he kills. So you do not get the block revive unless, and it actually says, the words it says here, unless this champion has max HP from the Vitality Plunder skill. So does that mean you've got to get to 60k before it starts to block revive? So guys, I've just been doing some digging and it looks like you do. You have to plunder 60k HP before this skill will start to block revive. Now, a lot of people are going to be outraged at this. It's a big nerf, actually. It's a big old nerf. I still think... So you're still going to get an extra turn if you kill someone. I still think you one-shot someone with your A3. You then one-shot someone with your A2. Okay? And potentially you still absolutely win the game and snowball the game from that point. So... I don't think... So, guys, anyone who's out there is like, this is it, my world has ended. I still think you one-shot two people of the enemy team. It's a big nerf. It's a big nerf. It's the biggest nerf. It's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out because that is a big change. But I think you still one-shot two people in the enemy team, even though they're not block revive. That's the big difference. They're not block revive, so if you're up against... multiple revivers, all of a sudden, they might be coming back. Those people you just killed might be coming back. But then there's no further cooldowns on any of this stuff, so we'll have it back again. Potentially your A2's got your health up. So we'll see, guys. We'll see what we think on it. It's a big nerf. Rotus has taken it hard. He is taking it hard. Okay, let's go into Sifi then. Sifi is also on the nerf list. She's all nerf. So instead of the A1 being a turn meter, what's going on here? Oh no, sorry, second skill. Instead of it being a 15% turn meter boost, it's going to be 10. It's not insignificant. It's not crazy either. So probably makes a bit of sense. I like that. And it's going to have a 6-turn cooldown instead of 5. That's quite a big difference for PvE stuff, actually. It's quite a big kind of change for PvE. And then we've got Eternal Bond, which is this skill here, a passive. Heals each ally by 10% instead of 15%. We'll see, guys. I don't know that it's enough. I don't know that it really changes why she's so crazy. I definitely would have preferred for them to do something with this A1. It's done. It's done. We'll see how it plays out. But for me, it probably wasn't strong enough. But then I guess people that have got CF are going to be happy with that. So there's definitely some reworking you have to do with your teams because the two things they've changed make a bit of a difference. But it's not a massive nerf. So those that have got her will be probably quite happy. Those that haven't will probably still feel like she's a bit OP. So next one we're going to get into then is Duchess. Duchess was we thought was on the nerf list. She is on the nerf list, but not by anything too insane. So this A2, instead of a 5-turn cooldown, it's going to be 6. Again, I don't think it changes her a lot. There's not that many situations where you're rolling this round several times. I guess if you're using her in a lot of PvE content, I mean, they talked about this being the balance for PvP. It's not really, because you don't ever last 6 turns, or it's very rare that you last 6 turns in a PvP fight. So it's more of a PvE change. But it's not drastic. I like it. She was a bit crazy. It's probably not what I would have done, but it's not a terrible change either. So next one on the list is Madame Cerise. She is exactly what the Manable video said. So this skill here, instead of putting a debuff on everyone for 3 turns, it's going to be 2. It basically means there's no change for her at all in PvP content. It's not strong enough. It's just the wrong move. Stupid move. All it actually does is it means she's now not viable in something like Clan Boss, where she was a bit viable. So for me, I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking with that, Plarium. Stupid change. Really stupid change. Let's move on then to next guy, who is Coronar. Coronar was on the nerf list, and all they've done here, Flourish of Slaughter, they've changed the 10% turn meter drop to 5. I think this is mainly, again, for PvE content, so that you're not just kind of walking your way through Doom Tower when it comes out and all that type of stuff. So, small nerf for Coronar. I think it's fine. I don't think people that have got him are going to be too upset, or if you are, I don't think it's that big a difference, guys. Don't worry yourself about it. Next one is one I was quite excited for, actually. So, it's champion I've got. I've always said that she's a bit underpowered for a Void Legendary, and that is Blind Seer. So, Blind Seer... she has got, at the moment, a shield. Places a shield and block debuffs on all allies. It's proportioned to this champion's HP, but we don't know how much. It's changing to now give her a 30% shield. So buff on all allies for 30% of this champion's max HP. That's a pretty genuine buff, actually. That's good. The other thing that's changing is this. So the cooldown's been reduced to 6 instead of 7. Okay, I like it. Revives all dead allies is the same. She doesn't take damage anymore. So this silly part of her skill where she takes a ton of damage is gone. I like it. Really significant change. And this has been now all battles. Ah, nice. So it's now defense in all battles, but it's going to be the 34%, which is the big one for defense in all battles. So good changes to Blind Seer, guys. Blind Seer is going to be... quite a bit stronger, I'd say. Quite a bit stronger with those changes. I like it. The shield's more relevant. So she's a bit more like a Warlord shield now. The revive's more relevant as well. So that's cool. Let's get on to the next one then. Next one is Warlord. Warlord is having his Orcish Rituals reduced to a 5-turn cooldown. Okay. It's weird. Let's just see if the other skill is changing. Protection of Gods is Placing a block debuffs out there for 1 turn, that's the same. Places a shield for 30% of his HP, that is the same. And heals for 25%, that's the same. I don't know why they've got that in the notes. Everything there looks the same to me. So he's actually got a buff. Warlord's got a buff. This is now a 5-turn cooldown. Surprising, okay. I'm pleased they didn't properly change him, because I don't think he's busted. I think he's really strong, but I don't think he's busted. But yeah, that looks like a straight out buff. Just a reduced cooldown on his best skill. So for PvE content, that's actually a massive buff as well. Okay, so let's move on then. Draxar's next on the list. I'm interested to see what they do with her. I wish I had her, actually. So she has got on Curse of Writhing here, has her A2. She's now got a 75% chance instead of 50. So can be booked up to 100% chance now of placing that weaken. And this books up to 100% chance as well of removing 2 random buffs. So straight out buff for A2. Again, it's a good change, I think. Everything else is the same about it, apart from you can now book it up to 100% chance for both of those things. Cool, love it. Nice change. Next one then, Girga. Girga the Aldor, don't know. So Girga is someone I didn't really feel like needed a change. But he does have, on Bone Chiller, his A2, removes 1 random buff from every enemy at the moment, and you can book that up to 100% chance of placing a freeze. Everything's the same, apart from he removes 2 random buffs from all enemies. I don't know if he needed it, guys. And it's now a 5-turn cooldown. And his base speed is going up to 98. This is like a significant buff. Girga was already decent, but not played too much, mainly because his base speed was low. This is actually a really good buff. Again, he's a Void Legendary. He should be strong. He should be played. He's actually one of my fave looking champs as well. Really significant buff. I love it. I think it's cool. Girga, now in the meta, I'd say. Okay, let's keep going with the legendaries. I'll come back to the epics after. So let's move on to Elder Skarg. Someone I don't have. So Elder Skarg, Hunt the Marked. 3-turn cooldown already. Okay, 3 times hits. That's the same. So they've added then, steals all the buffs from the target after the attack. So it looks like everything's the same. HP burn, fear, that's the same. Yeah, so steals all buffs from the target after he attacks. It's weird that he does it after the attack. You'd feel like if you steal the buffs before and then he goes and throws in that damage, feels like it makes more sense. Like if you're hitting into a shield, you're going to diminish the shield anyway. If you're hitting into counterattack, I wonder if they still counterattack because you've hit them once it's on them. I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see how that actually plays out in fights, but it's a definite buff. We've also got Elder's Clarion. So they've got here added, also places a provoke debuff on a legendary champion for 1 turn. So if he attacks a legendary with this, he's going to provoke that champion. That's interesting as well. And then on his passive, inflicts damage equal to this champion's attack when attacked by legendary champions. So if you build him up to 5k attack, if someone attacks him, they're going to take straight 5k damage. It's kind of cool as well. Good buffs. I don't know if it's going to make him a meta player. It certainly changes him up. Certainly changes him up a bit. So there's a lot more utility now. He's already quite a complex champ in terms of the amount of stuff he's doing. So it makes him even more complex, I think. But yeah, interesting changes, guys. I think Elder Skarg players will be pretty happy with that. So let's move on then. Let's move on to someone that I felt like badly needed a change. So Candrathon, one of the worst legendaries in the game at the minute. So again, there's a lot changing on this guy. So damage increases by 40% whilst under Veil is already here. Why have they put that in green? Damage increases while under Veil or Perfect Veil. That's the same. Receives 40% less damage whilst under Veil or Perfect Veil. This is the change. Also boosts this champion's turn meter by 15% each time he receives damage whilst under Veil. Does not work if this champion is the only ally alive on the team. Lots going on there. So basically his turn meter goes up when he's taking damage. So he's actually a good person to put that kind of mastery on, which you take a little bit of your team's damage. Could be quite cool on him. So yeah, he gains turn meter, reduces damage whilst he's under Veil. How does he get the Veil on? Places it, here is it? Yeah. So pretty cool, actually. And then there's an active effect. Places a Veil on this champion for 1 turn. Each time an enemy's turn meter is filled, this buff cannot be removed. So he naturally will now get a perfect Veil every time an enemy fills their turn meter. So every time he's going to take a hit, that new change is going to be active, guys. 40% less damage and turn meter filling up. I love it, actually. That's really cool. Really different to it. Like, totally changed his kit up, which is what he needed, but really good change. And then we've got the Punish still here. Places an extra hit if the target is under any buff. Not attack buff, any buff. Like it, very cool. Bit of a better change. And then on the Hunt ability, which is this one, places Perfect Veil, 50% attack, that's the same. An increased speed buff and an increased crit damage buff on this champion as well. Whew. Loads of changes for Candrafon. Makes him way more viable. Way more viable. Love it. Love it. Good effort. Good effort, guys. This is it looks like they've made some actual thoughts into what they're going to do with these champions. Really good effort on those ones. So far, so good, I'd say. Right, Tormund. Tormund's up next. Tormund's still really difficult to deal with. So, first thing we're going to talk about is his passive. So they're changing this to be, instead of 15, 20% chance of placing a freeze. That seems crazy, because it already is pretty busted. The 20% chance, so we're talking from this part in the script here, applies up to twice per enemy turn, once for buffs and once for turn meter. In cases where an enemy receives multiple buffs at the same time, you will not get multiple chances to freeze them, basically. So each time the enemy has a turn, if he's booked out, you're going to get a 30% chance on a turn meter fill and a 30% chance on any buffs being applied. But it will only happen once for buffs and once for turn meter per enemy turn. Not sure about that, guys. I feel like, I don't know if it changes anything other than makes him freeze people more. Personally, I'm not sure. Comment below. What do you think on that one? Not sure if that's quite what we were looking for. Just check something else as well on this. Revives his champion to 100% HP. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, so everything else looks like it's the same. So they've called it a slight nerf. I feel like it's a buff, actually. I think it's a buff. It's probably be less ridiculous when you got something like, I don't know, a Morsian Mage throwing out a ton of buffs. Then obviously you got umpteen times that they could be frozen. So in some instances better, but feels like he's just actually got buffed. Right then, guys, let's move on to Bistophus. So Bistophus, again, quite a lot of changes going on here. So has now got added a 35% chance. This is on Horror, his A1. Added a 35% chance of placing True Fear debuff for 1 turn on any targets that get block cooldown skills. So pretty much if he places his block cooldown skills and the chance is not changing of that, then he can also put a True Fear on them. Bit of a weird combination, really, because if True Fear goes off, it puts the skill that they try to use on cooldown, but he's already got block cooldown skills up. I guess it's only up for 1 turn. No, I don't really get it. I don't really get what they're doing with it. I don't understand it properly. Let me show you the way they've worded it in case you guys might be able to put more sense here. This is what they're saying. 35% chance of placing True Fear for 1 turn on targets under block cooldown debuff. Don't really get it. Second one then, for Crumble, attacks all enemies instead of 4 times at random. That's a great change. Really good change. Still the same chance of placing decreased defense. It's a shame they didn't up that chance, actually. Because if it was a straight, I mean, it's going to be a 75% chance of placing decreased defense. If it was a straight 100% chance of placing decreased defense, wow, this guy would be so viable, like massively viable in a ton of content. But 75% chance is not perfect. It's still not bad, actually. So all they're doing is they're changing it instead of 4 times at random to an AoE hit. AoE hit now of putting block cooldown skills out there and decreased defense out there. I like it. Again, good change. No change to his damage and stuff, but he didn't need that. It's just a much more consistent crack in the face. So, interesting. He still needs a ton of setup for him to work, but at least his A3 now does something a bit more useful. So, pretty cool. We're going to carry on. Is there any more legendaries? I think that's it for the legendaries on the changes. Oh, no, Norog. No, that's not it. So, it's a few more down the bottom here. Norog next up. Norog is Steelwalker. So Norog, I already love Norog, so I'm interested to see what they do with him. So his A1 at the moment places decreased accuracy. They changed this to be a 40% chance of placing block cooldown skills for 2 turns instead of. I think it's instead of. It's not telling me if it's instead of or as well as. I think it's instead of placing decreased accuracy, it's putting block cooldown skills out. It's a much stronger debuff. Much stronger. Doesn't make him any more viable, though, for Clan Boss, which is a shame because he's actually a really good Clan Boss champ. In fact, if anything, yeah, it's no good. But for other areas of the game like Faction Wars and Arena, stuff like that, it actually makes him way more viable. So that's cool. Thick passive then, thick skin. They're doing, so he's already got a 15% chance of taking, or for all of his team to take less damage, and he's immune to these 3 debuffs, yeah? So what it's saying here is damage, decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under 1 or more buffs by 15%, decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under no buffs by 25%. Straight up buff, especially for the arena. If you're out there and you don't go first, all of a sudden he's enabling you to take 25% less damage. I really like it, guys. I think that's a very cool change. Very cool. Very good. Good effort, I'd say. Good effort on that one. Right then, next one. Mrs. I've got 4 of you. What are you going to do? What are you doing to my Astralis? Come on. Do something good. Do something good. I don't think they are. All they're doing, guys, is making this debuff impossible to resist. Just seeing. I feel like I'm pretty sure you need accuracy for this. Exchanges HP level with a target enemy, then attacks. Maybe you don't need accuracy for this skill. Maybe I'm wrong. If you don't need accuracy for this skill, which I feel like you should do because you're affecting your enemy. I feel like you should do. But this one here will place 2 bombs and it cannot be resisted. I don't think she's any better. She's buffed. I don't know that she's any better. Comment below, Astrolith, is she better? Right, let's move on to Hakon Smashlord. This is someone that a lot of people were keen to see what was going on. Okay, so Smashlord then. His first skill they're changing is his A2. So the skill is actually going to be exactly the same, but the order of it is different. So what they're saying here is they're going to remove all debuffs, then they're going to put on block debuffs, then they're going to heal. So the reason why they're doing that is because if you do it the other way around with a Tormund in the mix, then potentially, I guess, Tormund gets in the way and freezes you. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it looks like it's exactly the same skill. They've just worded it in a different order. The blood sacrifice is changing. So at the moment, he sacrifices HP equal to 50% of his HP, then attacks. It's going to change to sacrifices 25% of his HP, then attacks. Damage inflicted is equal to 50% of this HP. So It's a straight buff. It's a straight buff. I like it because too often he one-shots himself. Plus, you can build him to do a ton more damage now without being worried that you're going to be in trouble. So that's good. Okay, let's move on then. Let's look at Belenor. Belenor. So, Insurmountable. Insurmountable is his A2. So, attacks one enemy. Insurmountable is totally changing actually by the looks of it. So, attacks one enemy, then places Perfect Veil on this champion for 2 turns. Applies to the Ascended skill 2. So, I don't know if that's as well as doing like your increased defense and weaken and stuff. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's a straight change. It's going to get a Perfect Veil for 2 turns after attacking one enemy. So look, maybe they're taking out his decreased defense and weaken, which would be weird. Because that's kind of that's the only thing he's good for right now. So the third skill then attacks one enemy. Will attack the enemy with the lowest HP with any surplus damage if this attack kills an enemy. That's cool. That's cool, I guess. So you smack somebody in the arena, you kill them, any surplus HP will go and then hit the person with the lowest HP in their team. So you kill a tank, kill a damage dealer at the same time. It's kind of cool. Tactical partner, activate this champion's sword leader skill, it says here. Also activates Xavier's poison rain when Xavier's on the same team. So they're not telling us what that skill is. So that's still a bit of a mystery, not sure. But it looks like they're changing this up. But we don't have any more detail on that one. Abyss is going to be next. So Abyss, I think it's in here. Yeah. So Abyss. Yes. Yes. This is now 75% chance. Books up to 100% chance to drop defense on everyone. Good change. Really needed it. She is now viable. She's now a viable champ. Straight out viable. We've then got on Divine Wrath. Attacks all enemies. All of that is the same. Deals an extra 30% crit damage if the target's attack is highest. Ignores 30% of the target's defense if the target's defense is highest. Wow, that's a massive buff. So if this hits a defensive target, then they're going to ignore 30% of that defense. If it hits an attack target, then they're going to get a 30% crit damage buff. That's massive. This is a really good buff for Abyss. Abyss is now totally viable in the game. Love it. Good job. Good job playing him. Right. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one because this dude, a ton of people have got, and he is crap right now. So, let's see what they're doing then. Gertuk Mossbeard. Druidic Boon. They are. Removes all debuffs except poison debuffs from an ally. That's the change. So he's not going to cleanse off his own poisons. That's the change. Next one. Yes, exactly what I said. Put 3 2.5% poisons on your team for 3 turns. Cannot be resisted, and the rest of it's the same. So he puts out 3 small poisons, which is half the damage he's doing to your team right now. That's cool. He won't cleanse them off with this ability. The rest of it's the same. The rest of it's the same. But I think he's got a chance of being cool now. I think he's got a chance of being cool. Because of this damage boost and resistance boost here. We'll see, guys. I think that's a big enough change to not cleanse off those poisons, to give you a 22.5% damage buff for ticking for 7.5% of your health. I think it's okay. I think that's okay. Okay, we'll see. Draco next on the list. God, this is a long one, guys. There's a lot to cover. I'm just going to cover legendary champs in this video. We'll do a different one for epics. So Draco next. Lizardman. Draco is going to be Seeping Pain, which is his A1. Attacks one enemy. Damage increases. That's all the same. Surplus damage cannot be a crit is the change. I know some people are going to be really upset with this. I think it's probably right, guys. Like, he's so strong anyway with the rest of his kit this surplus damage thing, what it does mean is he's not going to be nerfed into the ground for clan boss. For clan boss, he's the same. For PvE content, he's not quite as crazy at the same time. So, and I think it's a good change. He's so strong. I think it's not that bad. I've got one. I use him a ton. I understand that you'll be upset if you got him, but when you calm down a bit, you'll realize it's probably about right. Draxar. Draxar's the last legendary then. So this is a buff. Buff. Good. We have got attacks all enemies on his A2. They're increasing the provoke chance to 50%. This chance increases to 100%, not 50, if the target's under an HP burn. Also places a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns if the provoke debuff is placed. So basically, he's going to provoke. It's an AoE, so he's going to provoke everybody if there's HP burns out there already. And it's also going to decrease attack if he gets the provoke off. Pretty good change. Pretty good change, guys. So, on Spider, that's a massive change. I think generally it's a good change if he's paired with the right team. Obviously, it's quite difficult to get that HP burn everywhere before he has a turn and does this. So that's a bit interesting. Fiery passive is changing as well, which is this one here. This champion's resistance will increase by 10 for every enemy under an HP burn up to 50. That's cool because he is one of the best spider tanks in the game. So all of a sudden, his ability to do that has just improved again. So good change for him, I think. I know a lot of people said, can we have some more damage on this A1? I don't have him yet. I'm going to get him soon, hopefully through this arena stuff. But all in all, a good change. So I guess my highs and my lows, I would say my low is in the change to Madame. I think it's just a bit of a silly nothing change. My highs, there's actually quite a lot. I think they've done a good job of trying to bring Girga back into the mix. I think the 2 ones which I wanted to see, the 3 which I wanted to see some real change on was Abess, Candrafon, and Bistophus. They all look strong. I'm interested to see how that Rotus things plays out. Does it mean that Rotus is hard nerfed? It looks like there's a lot of people that are upset just in the DMs that I've got so far. So there's a lot of people upset with what they've done to Rotus. I still feel like he one-shots people with all his abilities. So is it that bad? I'm not sure. We will see when those come in. I'm going to do a separate video, guys, on Epic Champions because this video's already gone on long. Let me know your thoughts below, guys. How do you think they've done on the legendaries? I'm Hell Hades. I'll catch you later.